Hi friends, Bill here. Have you ever noticed a subtle change in someone you love? Something you can't quite put your finger on, but it makes you pause? Maybe they seem a little quieter than usual, or they don't move with the same ease they once did. It's easy to brush these things off, chalking them up to age or a passing phase. But sometimes these little changes are more than just that. They can be silent signals, whispers that time is shifting in ways we don't always want to see. Today, we're having an important conversation, one that might feel a little heavy, but is rooted in love and awareness. We're talking about 5 subtle signs that an elderly loved one may be in their final year. This isn't about fear. It's about understanding, about recognizing what our elders may be going through, and about being there for them in the best way possible. If you've ever wondered whether a change in their behavior or health is something to be concerned about, you're in the right place. Now, let's start with the first sign, one that's often dismissed but can tell us a lot about someone's overall well-being: changes in appetite and weight. Have you ever sat down with an elderly loved one for a meal only to notice they're barely touching their food? Maybe they push it around the plate or take a few bites before claiming they're full. At first, it doesn't seem like much. We all have days when we don't feel like eating. But when it becomes a pattern, when they're consistently eating less or losing weight without trying, it's a sign worth paying attention to. As we age, our bodies change, and so do our appetites. But a drastic loss of interest in food could mean something more. It might be a sign of a medical issue, like difficulty swallowing, digestive problems, or even depression. Sometimes it's not even about the food itself. It's about the experience of eating. If they live alone, meals might feel lonely. If they're dealing with medication side effects, certain foods might not taste the same anymore. One way to gently address this is to make meals a social event. Eating together, even if it's just a simple lunch or a snack, can make a big difference. If they struggle with chewing or swallowing, softer foods or nutrient-dense smoothies can help. But if the weight loss is significant or ongoing, it's a sign to consult their doctor. Because when the body starts taking in less nourishment, it can weaken everything else, including energy, mobility, and the immune system. Now, the second sign is just as subtle, but just as important: changes in mobility and coordination. Have you ever noticed that someone who used to move with confidence now hesitates when they stand up? Maybe they reach for support more often, or take smaller, shuffling steps instead of the steady stride they used to have. Again, we might be tempted to say, well, they're just getting older. But here's the thing: aging doesn't have to mean losing mobility overnight. A sudden change in how someone moves can be a sign that their muscles are weakening, their balance is shifting, or even that they're experiencing small, unnoticed strokes. It could also be linked to medications that cause dizziness or confusion. And sometimes, the fear of falling becomes just as dangerous as the risk itself. If they've had a close call, a stumble in the hallway, a near slip in the bathroom, they may start moving differently out of caution, which can actually increase the risk of falls. So, what can you do? Start with observation. Watch how they move through their space. Are they avoiding certain areas, like stairs or rugs? Are they taking longer to get up from a chair? Encouraging light movement, like stretching, walking, or seated exercises, can help keep their muscles strong. And if they seem unsteady, a physical therapist can offer guidance on safe mobility strategies. Both of these signs, changes in appetite and changes in movement, are easy to overlook because they happen gradually. But when we pay attention, we can step in with support before they become bigger concerns. Let's keep going. because the next sign is one that often flies under the radar, yet it can reveal so much about what's happening beneath the surface. One of the most overlooked signs that an elderly loved one may be in their final year isn't something you can see right away. It's something you sense in the way they engage with the world around them. You may notice they don't seem as interested in conversations anymore, or they no longer light up at the things they once enjoyed. It's subtle at first. Maybe they used to call you every Sunday without fail, but now they forget. Or perhaps they used to love watching their favorite TV shows, but these days they sit there without really watching, eyes drifting toward the window or down at their hands. This quiet withdrawal can be easy to dismiss. We tell ourselves they're just tired, or maybe they're in a phase. But when someone begins retreating from their social world, it's often a sign that something deeper is happening. It can be linked to cognitive decline, emotional exhaustion, or even a subconscious awareness that their time is growing short. When the body slows down, sometimes the mind and spirit follow. If you notice a loved one pulling away, the most important thing you can do is meet them where they are. Instead of asking direct questions like, "Why don't you call anymore?" or "Why don't you go outside?" Try simple, gentle engagement. Sit with them. Listen more than you speak. Bring up shared memories and let them guide the conversation. Sometimes, just being present is more valuable than any words you could offer. This leads us to another sign, one that many people overlook because it seems like just another part of aging: changes in sleep patterns. Have you ever checked in on a loved one only to find they're sleeping at odd hours? Maybe they nap more during the day but struggle to sleep at night. Or they wake up frequently, restless, unable to get comfortable. Sleep patterns often shift as we age, but when someone is sleeping significantly more or much less, it can be a sign that their body is going through an internal transition. Many people in their final year experience profound fatigue, the kind that no amount of rest can fully shake. Their body is conserving energy, focusing on essential functions. If they're sleeping more, it might be because they simply don't have the stamina they once did. But on the other hand, if they're sleeping less, it could be due to pain, discomfort, or even anxiety about the future. Creating a peaceful sleep environment can help. Soft lighting, comfortable bedding, and a soothing bedtime routine can make a difference. If pain or discomfort is keeping them up, it may be time to speak with their doctor about pain management options. But above all, know that these changes aren't just about sleep. They are part of a larger shift in how the body prepares itself for what's ahead. These signs, withdrawal from social interaction and changes in sleep, are easy to overlook, but they offer us an opportunity to show up for our loved ones in meaningful ways. Sometimes, just noticing and responding with kindness is all they need. And there's one more sign, perhaps the most important of all, that we need to talk about next. There's one final sign that often carries the most weight, not just for our loved ones, but for those of us who care about them. It's a shift that happens slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, until one day it's impossible to ignore. It's a sense of letting go. Maybe you hear it in their words. They start reminiscing more, bringing up memories from decades ago as if they were just yesterday. They might talk about loved ones who have already passed, mentioning them in casual conversation as if they expect to see them soon. Or perhaps they speak in a way that feels different, less about the future, more about what's behind them. You might hear them say things like, "I've had a good life," or "I think I've done all I was meant to do." It's not necessarily sadness. In fact, many times there's a quiet acceptance to it. It's as if they're making peace with their time here, settling unfinished thoughts and preparing themselves in ways that go beyond the physical. Some may start giving away treasured belongings, not out of forgetfulness, but with intention. A beloved book, a family heirloom, a special piece of jewelry. It's their way of passing things on, making sure the people they love have a piece of them, even when they're gone. This is the hardest shift to witness because it touches something deep inside us. It reminds us that time is moving forward, that change is inevitable. And while it's natural to feel sadness, there is also something incredibly beautiful about this stage. It is a time to listen more deeply, to ask the questions you've always wanted to ask, to share laughter, love, and presence in a way that matters most. So, what can we do? The best thing we can offer is our presence. Real, intentional presence. Not rushing, not fixing, just being there. Sit beside them. Hold their hand. Let them tell their stories, even if you've heard them 100 times before. There is comfort in repetition, in knowing that their experiences mattered, that their life had meaning. And if they do begin speaking about those who have passed, about seeing them again or feeling their presence, don't dismiss it. For many, this is part of the journey, a way of finding peace. Whether it's the mind's way of processing the transition or something deeper, we don't have to understand it to honor it. As hard as it is to accept, this stage is not just about loss. It's about love. It's about ensuring that the people we cherish know without a doubt that they are valued, that their presence in this world mattered, and that they will be remembered. And when that time does come, when the journey reaches its end, the greatest gift we can give is knowing that we were there, that we walked with them as far as we could, and that we made their final days ones of love, dignity, and peace. If this message resonated with you, if you've seen these signs in someone you love or have experienced this journey yourself, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's support one another in these moments, because no one should have to navigate them alone. And if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, because conversations like these matter, and together we can create a space where love and understanding lead the way. Here's to cherishing every moment, to loving fully, and to being present in the time we have. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.